Welcome to the Cenario podcast, your guide to mental health and well-being. Each episode, we uncover practical tools, discuss expert insights, and explore how supplements can transform your mental health journey. Get ready to learn, grow, and thrive with us.
Okay, so you know that feeling, right? That absolute bone-deep exhaustion, where even after like a full night's sleep, you just wake up feeling like you've run a marathon. I think most of us have sort of brushed up against that with burnout maybe, or intense stress. But what if that feeling, that profound, persistent, really debilitating exhaustion, what if it just never truly goes away? What if it becomes the backdrop to every single day? And that question, that brings us right to the focus of our deep dive today, chronic fatigue syndrome, also known as ME/CFS. Now, this isn't just about feeling tired, not at all. This is a condition that's often misunderstood, sometimes dismissed, and yeah, tragically, it can go undiagnosed for years. It profoundly alters not just the body, but the entire landscape of a person's life. So our mission today really is to cut through some of that noise, to truly unpack ME/CFS, understand its pervasive impact, and why early understanding and recognition are just so critically important. We're going to dive into what our sources reveal about this really complex illness.
Absolutely. And it's crucial, I think, right from the start to get that this is a chronic multi-system illness. And when we say multi-system, we really mean it impacts, numerous bodily functions, everything from the intricate workings of the nervous system right down to the fundamental metabolic pathways that fuel our cells. It's just a world away from simple fatigue. It fundamentally interferes with daily living. So today, we'll try to clearly differentiate ME/CFS from just being tired. We'll explore its defining symptoms and look at why, leading health authorities like the DCC, NIH, the World Health Organization, why they unequivocally recognize it. They see it as a legitimate, biologically rooted condition.
Okay, so if it's not just tiredness, how do we truly define chronic fatigue syndrome? Our source material describes it pretty vividly. It says, debilitating fatigue that doesn't improve with rest and is exacerbated by even minimal physical or mental activity. So this isn't just a gentle nudge to slow down. People often describe it as feeling like your internal battery is just perpetually on empty, or maybe worse, constantly draining, even when you're not doing anything. It implies the severity that leads to significant functional impairment and reduced quality of life, making even basic daily tasks feel like, monumental struggles.
And this is a really, really vital point to underscore. ME/CFS is not psychosomatic. It's not all in your head. This is a biologically rooted condition. And when we look at the bigger picture of chronic illness, it's quite powerful that major health authorities are recognizing it this way. Now, symptoms can fluctuate, sure. Day to day, week to week, they can change in severity. But the underlying biology, that persists. The exact cause, that still eludes us, unfortunately. But the evidence is rapidly converging on a sort of combination of factors. You're talking about potential triggers like viral or bacterial infections. Think Epstein-Barr virus, maybe Lyme disease, or even things like long COVID, which interestingly shares many overlapping symptoms. There's also quite a lot of research into immune system abnormalities, subtle but impactful hormonal imbalances, particularly involving cortisol and thyroid function, and even mitochondrial dysfunction, which essentially means the powerhouses of our cells, they just aren't generating energy efficiently. Sometimes, it seems like an overwhelming psychological or physiological stressor just flips a switch. For some people, the onset is sudden, bam, often following an acute illness. For others, though, it develops much more gradually. So the implication here is this really complex interplay of internal and external factors.
That complexity really highlights why getting an accurate diagnosis is so crucial, doesn't it?
Right.
So if someone suspects they might have ME/CFS, how do doctors actually, differentiate it?
Well, the key really lies in a very specific set of criteria. These were developed by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC.
Okay.
And these aren't just general complaints, you see. These symptoms, they have to be present for a minimum of 6 months. And critically, they must significantly reduce your ability to engage in your pre-illness activities.
Right, so a major change.
A dramatic and persistent shift from your baseline.
Exactly.
It's not just a bad week, it's a fundamental change in your capacity.
Okay, let's delve into these 5 core symptoms then, the ones that define ME/CFS. First up, we have persistent unexplained fatigue. And this isn't the fatigue you feel after a grueling workout or pulling an all-nighter. This is described as a deep, systemic, often sudden onset of exhaustion. It has no clear explanation. It lasts 6 months or more. It's not the result of unusual exertion. And maybe most importantly, it is not relieved by rest. You could sleep for 10 hours, maybe more, and still feel utterly drained.
Yeah, that distinction is paramount. It really is. Most people understand tired, but this is a fatigue that rest simply cannot touch. It's almost as if the body's fundamental restorative processes are just offline. It's like trying to fill a bucket, but there's a hole in the bottom. And it's often unpredictable, too, which makes planning even the simplest activities a constant negotiation with, well, an unreliable body. Imagine having to cancel plans, important plans, at the last minute because, say, yesterday's shower unexpectedly led to today's complete incapacitation.
Wow. That unpredictability ties directly into the next symptom, which you mentioned is really a defining characteristic, post-exertional malaise, or PE.
Yes, PE.
If you take nothing else away from our discussion today, remember PM. It's a worsening of symptoms, and not just fatigue, right? But all your ME/CFS symptoms.
All of them, yeah.
After even minimal physical or mental activity, our sources describe it as a crash. And recovery from this crash can take days, weeks, or sometimes even longer.
PM is the absolute hallmark of ME/CFS. It truly is.
Yeah.
It's what really distinguishes it from general fatigue or depression or even burnout. That push-through-it mentality, the one that's so ingrained in our society, that can be utterly devastating for someone with ME/CFS. Because pushing through simply guarantees a crash later. For instance, a simple grocery run, something most of us do without a second thought. That might mean days confined to bed afterward for someone with ME/CFS. It's not just feeling tired. It's this profound physiological downturn. It's a sign the body has exceeded its kind of energy envelope and is essentially forcing a shutdown. This isn't a choice. It's a biological imperative to recover.
Okay, then there's the third core symptom, unrefreshing sleep. Again, this goes way beyond just having a bad night. Imagine consistently sleeping for 8, 10, maybe even 12 hours, only to wake up feeling as if you haven't slept at all, just as exhausted as when you went to bed.
Exactly.
This is often accompanied by pretty significant sleep disturbances, chronic insomnia, fragmented sleep, maybe even a reverse sleep-wake cycle where the body just struggles to tell night from day.
And what's crucial here, I think, is that it's not just the quantity of sleep that's affected, it's the quality. For many people with ME/CFS, even if they spend enough time in bed, their sleep architecture seems disturbed. They might not be reaching those deep restorative stages of sleep, the ones that are essential for physical and cognitive repair.
Okay.
So the body simply isn't getting the chance to perform its necessary nightly maintenance, which leads to this perpetual state of being unrestored no matter how much time passes.
Right. The fourth symptom is one that many find incredibly isolating and frustrating. Cognitive impairment. It's widely known as brain fog.
Brain fog.
And this isn't just, forgetting where you put your keys occasionally. We're talking about persistent trouble with memory, with concentration, processing speed. It might manifest as difficulty focusing on a conversation or reading a book, struggling to find the right words mid-sentence maybe, or experiencing a noticeable slowing of your reaction time. It's like your brain is literally wading through treacle.
Yes, that analogy of wading through treacle is so apt, isn't it? And this raises an important point. Why is cognitive impairment sometimes even more disabling than the physical fatigue itself? Well, it's because it impacts every single facet of daily function. The ability to work, to study, maintain social relationships, manage household tasks. It can really strip away a person's sense of self and competence. Imagine being unable to follow the plot of your favorite TV show, or struggling for ages just to complete a simple work email. The impact extends far beyond just feeling physically tired. It affects a person's entire engagement with the world around them.
Okay. And finally, the fifth core symptom is orthostatic intolerance. So these are symptoms that specifically get worse when you're standing upright or maybe sitting for extended periods, and they often improve when you lie down.
Right.
We're talking about dizziness, lightheadedness, maybe a racing heart, blurred vision, or even feeling faint. It's often linked to conditions like postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, or POTS,
With POTS.
where blood pressure and heart rate can fluctuate abnormally, particularly when you change positions, like going from lying down to sitting or standing up.
Yeah, and this specific symptom really points towards a dysregulation in the autonomic nervous system. That's the system controlling all those involuntary bodily functions, like heart rate, blood pressure, digestion. For someone with orthostatic intolerance, simply standing up can trigger this whole cascade of symptoms because their body is struggling to properly circulate blood against gravity. It's a really vivid example of how ME/CFS isn't just some subjective feeling. It has measurable physiological underpinnings, disrupting the very basic functions of the body's internal regulation system.
So those are the 5 core symptoms needed for diagnosis. But many individuals with ME/CFS also experience a wider range of additional symptoms. These aren't strictly required for diagnosis, but they definitely contribute significantly to the overall picture and, well, compound the suffering.
Oh, absolutely.
Things like widespread muscle pain, joint aches, often without any visible swelling or inflammation, a recurring sore throat maybe, or tender lymph nodes. Profound sensitivity to light, sound, or even temperature changes. New or unusually severe headaches can crop up. And a whole range of digestive issues like bloating or symptoms similar to irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. And these symptoms, they're often dynamic, right? They fluctuate in intensity, they get worse with stress or overexertion, adding another layer of challenge.
And this broad spectrum of symptoms, it further highlights the complexity of actually diagnosing this thing, because there's no single definitive test for ME/CFS. None.
Right.
Which is why it often takes so incredibly long for individuals to get answers. Diagnosis involves this really rigorous process of ruling out other medical conditions first. Things that could present with similar symptoms like thyroid disorders, anemia, sleep apnea, even clinical depression.
You have to check all those boxes.
Exactly. This is combined with a really thorough clinical history and a careful assessment of whether the patient consistently meets those specific CDC criteria we just went through. It really demands a highly informed, holistic, and definitely patient-centered approach from healthcare providers.
And what does this often mean for someone who's actually on that diagnostic journey?
Well,
It sounds like the path can be incredibly long and frustrating.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Precisely because there isn't that single biomarker, and the symptoms are so broad and often overlap with other conditions. Many patients report years, sometimes even decades, of being dismissed or misdiagnosed, or just told their symptoms are all in their head before finally receiving an accurate ME/CFS diagnosis.
That's heartbreaking.
It really is. And this journey just underscores the critical need for greater medical education and awareness around ME/CFS.
So, okay, once someone is diagnosed, what does life look like then? You mentioned there's currently no known cure for ME/CFS.
That's right, no cure yet.
But there are various management strategies that can significantly improve quality of life, help individuals navigate their symptoms.
Yes, definitely. There are things that can make a real difference. Our sources outline several approaches that are proving crucial for those living with the condition.
Okay, what are those? The first, and you suggested maybe the most critical, is lifestyle management. And key here is a strategy called pacing. What is that exactly?
Pacing, yeah.
It sounds like actively learning to balance activity with rest, understanding your individual energy limits, your energy envelope,
Precisely.
and rigorously avoiding overexertion to prevent those PM crashes.
That's the core of it. It's about respecting the body's limits rather than constantly pushing against them, which is often our instinct.
Right. And then establishing excellent sleep hygiene is also vital. Creating a consistent, calming routine to optimize that non-refreshing sleep as much as possible.
Every little bit helps.
And while it's not a cure, mindful nutrition focusing on anti-inflammatory, nutrient-rich diets, that can potentially support overall body function and maybe ease some symptoms.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
It provides a better foundation. And pacing, it's truly a paradigm shift for many people. It's moving from that mindset of, I've got to do as much as I can, to, I need to figure out how much I can do without crashing afterwards.
That sounds hard.
It requires immense self-awareness and discipline. And it's definitely a skill learned through trial and error, often frustrating error. It really challenges our societal norms that equate constant activity with worth, doesn't it?
It really does.
And on the nutritional front, yeah, while there's no magic diet, reducing inflammatory foods and ensuring you're getting enough micronutrients can provide a supportive foundation for a body that's already under significant stress.
Okay, so beyond the physical management, psychological support also plays a huge role, I imagine, especially coping with an illness that's often invisible and misunderstood.
Immense, yes.
Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is mentioned, but adapted for chronic illness, not just depression.
Exactly. When it's adapted correctly, CBT can assist individuals in developing powerful coping strategies, helping them reframe thoughts around their limitations, manage the emotional toll, which can be huge.
And support groups.
Oh, absolutely vital. These communities can be crucial for reducing that profound isolation many people feel. and for validating their lived experiences. Just connecting with others who truly get the unique challenges of ME/CFS can be a lifeline.
That validation, yeah, I can see how important that would be.
It's so often underestimated. Just hearing someone else describe exactly what you've been feeling, sometimes for years in silence, it can be incredibly empowering. It helps shift the burden from, is something wrong with me, to, okay, I have a recognized medical condition that requires understanding and careful management.
Makes sense.
And CBT, again, when applied correctly, helps individuals navigate the psychological impact of having a body that no longer functions predictably. It helps foster resilience, even when symptoms persist.
And finally, supplementation is an area many explore. Again, not cures, but some individuals find symptom relief through targeted supplements, aiming to support energy metabolism, maybe nervous system health.
That's the idea, yes.
Our sources mention popular choices like magnesium, vitamin B12, CoQ10, L-carnitine. These are all known for roles in cellular energy production, right?
They are. And rhodiola rosea is also sometimes mentioned, particularly for people whose fatigue seems to overlap with chronic stress.
Okay, so these are often used as part of a bigger personalized management plan, ideally under medical guidance.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what's interesting here is that the rationale behind many of these supplements often directly correlates with the suspected biological underpinnings of ME/CFS we talked about earlier. Things like mitochondrial dysfunction or issues with energy production pathways.
Sure.
So they're not really targeting a cure per se, but rather aiming to support the systems that seem to be struggling. However, and this is really crucial, individual responses vary hugely, and consultation with a knowledgeable healthcare professional is absolutely key to avoid potential interactions or using inappropriate dosages. It has to be personalized.
Right. So if we connect all of this back to the bigger picture, the importance of early recognition just seems massive. It cannot be overstated.
Absolutely not.
So many individuals with ME/CFS endure years, literal years, of suffering without a diagnosis, often facing medical skepticism or being told just devastatingly that their symptoms are in their head. But as we've really meticulously discussed, ME/CFS is demonstrably real, and the research is increasingly validating its complex biological basis. This is not a condition to be ignored or dismissed.
Exactly. And recognizing these often nuanced symptoms early, it empowers individuals, doesn't it, to better self-advocate within the healthcare system,
Yes.
leading to more timely specialist referrals, getting to doctors who actually understand this complex illness. It also facilitates effective symptom tracking, which sounds crucial for figuring out patterns and tailoring those personalized management plans.
It is. It's essential for pacing.
All of these steps can lead to significantly improved treatment outcomes, or at least quality of life. And perhaps most importantly, early recognition helps prevent that kind of debilitating overexertion, the push-crash cycle.
Yes, preventing the worsening, which can actually worsen the condition long-term, entrench those severe crashes, and potentially lead to more severe and persistent illness down the line. It's really about equipping yourself with knowledge and agency in the face of profound uncertainty. So what does this all mean for us listening today? Chronic fatigue syndrome symptoms, they extend far, far beyond just being tired. It's crystal clear. They profoundly impact physical, cognitive, and emotional functioning in ways that are deep, complex, and often completely invisible to outsiders. This deep dive, I hope, has shown us the intricate reality of ME/CFS, from its defining characteristics like post-exertional malaise and brain fog, to the frustrating challenges of getting diagnosed, and the absolute importance of proactive, personalized management strategies. It's a real, often devastating illness that demands our understanding, our empathy, and definitely continued research.
And this raises, I think, an important question for you, the listener, to consider. In a world that is constantly glorifying productivity, always pushing through perceived limits, what might the unique, unyielding challenges of ME/CFS actually teach us? About those subtle yet profound connections between our inherent biology, our demanding environment, and maybe our mental resilience. What happens when the traditional solutions we rely on, like just rest more, or try harder, fall completely short? When they become counterproductive, it forces us to redefine health, recovery, perhaps even our own sense of worth. It's a condition that really compels us to re-examine some fundamental assumptions about the human body and its capacity.
That's a powerful thought. So if any of these persistent, unexplained symptoms we've discussed today resonate with you, or perhaps someone you know, please remember, early intervention and informed advocacy truly, truly matter. Don't dismiss these signs. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into understanding chronic fatigue syndrome.
Thanks for tuning in to the Cenario podcast. Don't forget to visit Cenario.com for more expert tips, articles, and supplements designed to support your mental health. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe and share it with a friend. Until next time, take care of yourself.